They found her sleeping on a park bench at 3 in the morning, wrapped in newspapers, her frail body shaking from the cold. And when the police officer bent down to wake her, he had no idea he was about to uncover one of the most shocking secrets in the city, its history, because this wasn't just any homeless woman. This was someone who had been missing for over 60 years, someone whose disappearance had never been solved, someone who everyone believed was dead. And what she was hiding would change everything you think you know about wealth, family, and the true meaning of poverty. So stay with me, because this story will leave you speechless. Her name was Eleanor Montgomery, or at least that's what the faded ID card in her torn coat pocket said. And when they took her to the shelter that freezing November night, she refused to speak, refused to eat, and just sat in the corner staring at the wall with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 untold stories. The shelter workers thought she was just another forgotten soul, another casualty of a cruel world, another elderly person abandoned by society. But one young volunteer named Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about this woman. There was something in her posture, something in the way she held herself despite the dirt and the rags, something that whispered of a life once lived in a completely different world. Days turned into weeks, and Eleanor remained silent. She would accept food, but ate like someone who had forgotten how to enjoy a meal. She wore the donated clothes, but seemed uncomfortable in them, as if they were costumes she was forced to wear. And then one night, Sarah was working late, organizing donations in the storage room, when she heard the most beautiful sound drifting through the halls. It was piano music, but not just any piano music. It was Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, played with such mastery, such emotion, such technical perfection, that Sarah dropped the box she was holding and ran toward the sound. And there, in the common room, sat Eleanor, her gnarled fingers dancing across the keys of the old donated piano that nobody ever played, her eyes closed, tears streaming down her weathered face, playing as if her very soul depended on it. That's when everything started to unravel, because someone had recorded Eleanor playing on their phone and posted it online, and within 48 hours the video had gone viral, millions of views, thousands of comments, and then the messages started coming. People claiming they recognized her, people saying impossible things, people from the world of classical music saying that playing style, that specific interpretation, could only belong to one person. A legendary pianist who had vanished in 1962, a woman named Elena Morozova, who had been at the peak of her career when she disappeared without a trace, a Russian prodigy who had defected to the United States and was being hailed as the greatest pianist of her generation, before she simply vanished into thin air. But that was insane, wasn't it? Because Elena Morozova would be over 100 years old now, and everyone had assumed she was dead, murdered perhaps, or kidnapped back to the Soviet Union. Her disappearance had been investigated by the FBI, by international agencies, by journalists and conspiracy theorists for decades. And now people were saying this homeless woman in a Chicago shelter was her. But how could that be possible? How could someone with such talent, such fame, such wealth, end up sleeping on park benches? The truth, as it turned out, was far stranger than anyone could have imagined, because Eleanor Montgomery and Elena Morozova were indeed the same person. And when the DNA tests confirmed it, when the fingerprints matched, when the dental records aligned, the media descended on the shelter like vultures, everyone wanting to know the answer to the one question that burned in everyone's mind. Why? Why would a world-famous pianist with a fortune estimated at over $50 million choose to live on the streets? Why would she abandon everything? And when Eleanor finally agreed to speak, when she finally broke her decades-long silence, what she revealed was a story of love, loss, betrayal, and a choice that would haunt her for the rest of her life. It started in 1962 when Elena was 37 years old, and at the absolute pinnacle of her career, she had just finished a sold-out performance at Carnegie Hall. The reviews were calling it the performance of the century. Record labels were fighting over her. And that night she met him, a young journalist named William Montgomery, who had been assigned to interview her. He was kind. He was intelligent, and for the first time in her life, Elena felt seen not as a performer or a commodity, but as a human being. They fell in love fast, recklessly, dangerously, and within 3 months they were married in a secret ceremony. But there was a problem. Elena's manager, her agent, her entire team had built an empire around her. She wasn't just a pianist. She was a brand, a business, a money-making machine. And they had plans, big plans, a world tour movie, deals her own line of pianos. They had invested millions, and they expected returns. And when Elena told them she wanted to take a break, wanted to start a family, wanted a normal life, they threatened her. They told her she would lose everything. They showed her the contracts she had signed, the clauses that would destroy her financially if she broke them. They told her she was nothing without them, that she belonged to them. But Elena didn't care, or at least she thought she didn't, until one night 3 men in dark suits came to her apartment. They didn't hurt her physically, but they showed her photographs. Photographs of William. Photographs of what they promised would happen to him if she didn't comply. And Elena realized she had a choice. She could continue being Elena Morozova and save William's life, or she could disappear and protect the man she loved. So she made a plan, a desperate, elaborate plan that would require her to give up everything: her identity, her career, her fortune, her very existence. She staged her own death. Or rather, her own disappearance. She withdrew large amounts of cash over several weeks. She created a new identity, Eleanor Montgomery, using William's last name as a secret tribute to the man she loved. And one night in March 1962, she walked out of her penthouse apartment and never looked back. But here's where the story takes another turn, because Elena's plan had been to disappear for a few years, just long enough for the attention to die down, for the threats to subside, and then reunite with William and start over somewhere far away. But when she tried to contact him using their pre-arranged system 6 months later, there was no response. She waited. She tried again and again, and finally, after a year of silence, she risked everything and went back to their meeting spot, an old bookstore in Brooklyn. And that's when she saw it. The newspaper article in the window. William Montgomery had died in a car accident 3 months after her disappearance. The article said it was tragic. It said he had been devastated by the loss of his wife. It said he had been drinking, and Elena realized in that moment that everything she had sacrificed had been for nothing. The man she loved was dead, her career was gone, her identity was erased, and she had nothing, absolutely nothing left. So she made a second choice, a choice that would define the next 6 decades of her life. She decided that Eleanor Montgomery would be exactly what the name suggested, an ordinary person, a nobody. She would live the life that Elena Morozova never could, a life without expectations, without pressure, without the weight of other people's dreams crushing her. She worked odd jobs. She moved from city to city. She deliberately avoided anything connected to music, because every note was a reminder of everything she had lost. And slowly, methodically, she spent down the cash she had hidden away, not on luxuries, but on helping others. Anonymous donations to shelters, to schools, to struggling families. She would see someone in need and press money into their hands and disappear before they could thank her. And by the time she was 90 years old, the money was gone. All of it. Every last penny spent on everyone but herself. But there was one thing Elena had never told anyone. One secret she had kept even from the shelter workers, even from the journalists who had hounded her after her identity was revealed, because yes, Elena had given away her fortune. Yes, she had lived in poverty by choice, but there was one thing she had kept. One thing she had protected for 60 years, and when the lawyers finally tracked down her safety deposit box, when they opened it with the key she had worn on a chain around her neck hidden beneath her tattered clothes, they found something that changed the entire narrative. Once again. Inside the box were documents, dozens of them, property deeds, stock certificates, bonds, investments that Elena had made in William's name before her disappearance, investments that had grown exponentially over 6 decades, compounding and multiplying, and with interest and appreciation, her original investments of $2 million had grown to over $300 million, all of it, in a trust with very specific instructions that could only be accessed when Elena Morozova was confirmed to be deceased, and the beneficiaries, all of them were charities, homeless shelters, music programs for underprivileged children, organizations helping abuse victims, every cause that had mattered to her during her years of invisibility. So you see, Eleanor Montgomery had never actually been poor at all. She had been the richest woman in the shelter, possibly the richest homeless person in America, but she had chosen to live that way, chosen to experience the world that most wealthy people never see, chosen to understand the struggles of those society forgets. And in doing so, she had ensured that her legacy would be not the performances she gave or the records she broke, but the lives she changed through her silent generosity. And when Eleanor died peacefully in her sleep, 6 months after her identity was revealed at the age of 101, she left behind a mystery that no one could quite solve. Was she a victim or a victor? A woman who had lost everything, or a woman who had chosen her own path? Was her life a tragedy, or the ultimate act of defiance against a world that tried to own her? And maybe that's the point. Maybe Eleanor Montgomery/Elena Morozova understood something that most of us never will. That true wealth isn't measured in dollars or fame or achievements. It's measured in the freedom to choose who you become and the impact you leave behind. If this story moved you, if it made you think differently about wealth and poverty and the choices we make, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel for more incredible true stories that will change the way you see the world, and share this video with someone who needs to hear Eleanor's message today, because her story deserves to be told, and your support helps us bring more forgotten stories like this to light. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the poorest person in the room is actually the richest. You just have to know where to look.